Everybody's afraid of something. Although when fans hear that some of our favorite Hollywood celebs have phobias, their reaction is often, "What? How can they be afraid of anything? They're perfect." Well, let's not forget that although they come from the magical land of fame and fortune, celebrities are still human with real fears. You'll be shocked to know what some of them are afraid of because we're not just talking about your common phobias. Find out who's afraid of raccoons, petrified of ostriches, and which A-list star struggles to even leave her house. You're watching Rumour Juice. Don't be scared to hit that notification bell either. Don't worry, it won't bite. Kim Basinger, agoraphobia. You might not remember Kim Basinger, and that's probably because her fear has prevented her from leaving her home. That's right, Kim has agoraphobia, which is the fear of places and situations that might cause feelings of panic. This can lead to total avoidance of the outside world and prevents those with the fear of even stepping outside of their house. The actress's breakout roles in 9½ Weeks in 1986 and Batman in 1989 put her on the path to her Oscar-winning performance in the 1997 noir classic LA Confidential. Despite her fame, Kim has been shy ever since she was a young girl and battled as the spotlight of fame grew brighter over her life. Being in the public eye caused her an unimaginable amount of anxiety, which often led to panic attacks.
In my 20s, that's when I had my first, what you would call a panic attack. And I was in a health food store. I'll never forget this as long as I live.
My hands were shaking. I was sweating so profusely I could not move. I made it to my car and remember getting the keys in the ignition, cranking the car up, taking the back roads to my home and parking. I didn't leave the house for 6 months, she confessed, describing one of her attacks. Thankfully, Kim sought help for her phobia and has been given the tools she needs to fight her fear, though her struggle with anxiety in the public eye continues. Oprah Winfrey, chewing gum. Oprah Winfrey has an intense dislike for chewing gum that goes back to her childhood days. When admitting to her fear, she said that while she was growing up, her grandmother used to save her gum by sticking it onto the bedpost so that she could go back to chewing it later. As a child, I used to bump into it, and it would rub up against me, and you know what it's like when you've taken it out of your mouth and it's been out a couple of weeks. It's bad, and so I was afraid of it. She admits that she has barred gum chewing in her offices, but still has to confront it everywhere else. "When I go out to the world, I can't bar it. I have no powers there," she said. So if you ever get the chance to meet Oprah, make sure you're not chewing on gum.
Do not chew gum in front of me.
I have done several things with you. No one warned me. I mean, thank God.
Nicole Kidman, fear of butterflies. Nicole Kidman is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful actresses to come across our screens. Butterflies are also beautiful, but Nicole doesn't think so. Why? Well, she's afraid of them. Surprisingly enough, this is actually a pretty common fear. We're not sure why, because butterflies are harmless and they just flutter about from flower to flower, minding their own business. However, according to Kidman, her phobia began when she was a child growing up in Australia. Sometimes, when I would come home from school, the biggest butterfly or moth you'd ever seen would be just sitting on our front gate. I would climb over the fence, crawl around to the side of the house, anything to avoid having to go through the front gate. Since that time, she attempted to break her fear of butterflies by visiting a butterfly cage at the Museum of Natural History. But it was an unsuccessful attempt.
I like all kinds of animals. I mean,
Okay.
I even like bugs, but snakes I find a little bit creepy. You love them.
Yes. I have been known to wrap myself in a snake or two.
Billy Bob Thornton, antique furniture. Some people would call it vintage, part of history, and a thrift shopper's dream. Billy Bob Thornton, however, would call it a nightmare, and he's long expressed his serious fear of antiques. He explained his phobia saying, "It's that French, English, Scottish, old mildewy stuff. Old dusty, heavy drapes and big tables with lions' heads carved in them. Stuff that kings wear around. That's the stuff I can't be around. It was too big to be functional. Creeps me out." Orlando Bloom, fear of pigs. Orlando Bloom, known for his good looks and being king of the Caribbean seas and pirate fighter, has one weakness, and it's pigs. He was doing a good job of keeping his fear to himself one day on the set of Kingdom of Heaven when a pig ran through the set and Bloom went running for the hills. Scarlett Johansson, fear of cockroaches. The ever-stunning and talented actress Scarlett Johansson, who is adored for her good humor, suffers from a fear of cockroaches.
Cockroaches, always. I can't stand them. I'm crippled by them. It's my kryptonite. I hate them.
One day, Scarlett woke up to a strange tickling sensation on her face and realized a cockroach was on it. Ugh! We can totally stand by this one. They're revolting. They're also impossible to kill, so if you ever find one in your house, we suggest you pack your bags and leave immediately. Katie Holmes, agorizophobia, fear of raccoons. According to Katie Holmes, she has always been afraid of raccoons. If she's ever confronted by one, her immediate reaction is to freak out or bark to try and scare them away. We can understand the need to freak out, but maybe she should go get a dog so that she doesn't have to do the barking herself. Jake Gyllenhaal, fear of ostriches. Okay, so ostriches are pretty intimidating, except when they stick their heads in the ground and pretend like no one can see them. Then they just seem like toddlers playing peekaboo. According to Gyllenhaal, he developed this fear while acting in Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, at which time a peer informed him that ostriches would, quote, tear out your eyes and rip out your heart. Johnny Depp, fear of clowns. Johnny Depp has a fear of clowns, and to be frank, who can blame him? They're pretty scary. Just look at Stephen King's It. Anyone else just cringed a little? Whose idea was it to have clowns entertain kids at their birthday parties? Because it wasn't ours. There's just something about the painted faces, layers of makeup, and creepy artificial smile that scares the heck out of people. He's not the only one who's scared of the balloon-blowing fear mongrels, because Sean Combs and Daniel Radcliffe are petrified of them too. Woody Allen, fear of heights. Have you ever climbed a ladder and felt like your knees are trembling as you work your way up each step? Yeah, we can totally relate to that. Fact of the day, did you know that the designer of the Eiffel Tower, Gustav Eiffel, was afraid of heights? Sounds logical, doesn't it? Maybe that was his way of conquering his fear. Woody Allen has a fear of heights too. Mr. Woody happens to have more phobias than we can count on one hand. He's also admitted to being afraid of insects, dogs, getting certain diseases, showers having the drain hole in the middle of the tub, small rooms, and crowds of people.
I told you 1,000 times you should always keep a lot of insect spray. You never know who's going to crawl over.
The last one seems tough for someone as famous as Allen, since inevitably leads to people crowding around you wherever you go. We can't seem to understand the drain hole fear, though. Kristen Stewart, fear of horses. Kristen Stewart, who's well known for her roles in Twilight and Snow White and the Huntsman, possesses a fear of horses. According to Stewart, she hates them. Her fear of horses began when she was 9 years old, after she fell from a horse and broke her elbow. She was forced to face her fear of the animal while filming Snow White and the Huntsman, saying, "I was really not happy about having to do all that horseback riding. I don't like that. I hate that." At least the actress did her best to conquer her fear, even if it was just for a little bit. Matt Damon, fear of reptiles. Harry Potter had a habit of talking to snakes. Matt Damon, on the other hand, has a habit of running from them. Yep, that's right. Matt is afraid of snakes. Damon's fear of these creatures was brought to light on the set of We Bought a Zoo, where he, quote, cried like a baby and rocked back and forth when the snakes were spread all over the set. Somehow, we can't help but picture this image in our minds and wish we were there to see it ourselves.
And we pull up to the cafe, he gets out of the car, takes one step and just takes a 6-foot leap jump backwards. He goes, oh my God. Huge big snake, and he's stood straight on it. And he's like, you keep telling me that like they're more scared of you and da-da-da, and nothing's it. This is the snake and the jellyfish. I'm like, you know what? You're the problem.
Yeah.
Britney Spears is also scared of reptiles. Some might say they drive her crazy. See what we did there? Although she admits she's just afraid of Komodo dragons and other lizards. Sarah Paulson, fear of clowns, bees, and tiny holes. Who would believe that the queen of American Horror Story has several phobias that she carries around? Paulson revealed that she's terrified of clowns, bees, and clusters of tiny holes, also known as trypophobia. I could be carrying a small child, and if a bee came around, that baby's getting dropped. I can't manage my feeling about it. She also talked about her phobia, saying, I just think they're disgusting. I can't look at a coral reef or a natural sponge. Kendall Jenner has also admitted to having the same fear. Justin Timberlake, fear of spiders. Justin Timberlake is afraid of spiders, and you know what? We expect no explanation for it. In fact, we'll be there with the fire thrower ready to burn down the house if he ever comes across one. He's also afraid of sharks and snakes. We suggest he stays far away from Australia because everything there comes in the form of a giant. Latoya Jackson, fear of cats. You get cat people and you get dog people. Latoya Jackson is definitely not a cat person. In fact, she's petrified of them. She confessed her fear on an episode of American Idol, where she admitted that she's been afraid of cats ever since one of her relatives was attacked by one.